Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Scorn Platinum Trophy walkthrough and this is Act 2. And as this level starts, we are out in a desolate desert wasteland. Very unpleasant as all the locations are in this game. And we're gonna spend around like 3.5-4 minutes just running through this desert. And that gives me a bit of time to talk about this game. And this level is a bit unique, actually, because this level is the only one that is completely devoid of enemies as such. The droids in Act 1 are technically enemies, they can hurt you. And the acts 3 through 5 there are quite a few enemies in those levels at times, but this one there are none, or actually there is one, but either way. I'm gonna talk a bit about this game because I think Scorn is worth talking about. I think Scorn is a very unique game because sometimes they talk about games not holding your hand and stuff like that. But most games do nowadays. There's always a tutorial level or some little tutorial mission to get you into the controls, or a dialogue option with some... There's always something, is what I'm saying. In Scorn, there is nothing. Because when I started playing this game the first time, this game took me around slightly over 7 hours to beat. Because this game tells you nothing. This game doesn't help you at all. There are no tutorials. There is not a single word spoken throughout this game. There's not much music except for like an ambient soundscape in the background. And the story of this game, I've watched quite a few lore videos about this game because as I said in the previous video, I played through this game a few times now and I understand fuck all about the story of this game. I know there are a lot of theories about it being about pregnancy or birth and rebirth and stillborn babies and stuff like that, and I would say maybe there is a lot of truth to that, because looking at the aesthetics of this game, as you can see, anyone who has seen the Alien movies will understand where the inspiration for the environments in this game has come from. Because these environments look very Geiger-esque, and H.R. Geiger was the artist that designed the monster in Alien and the ship, and he did the facehuggers, the xenomorphs, the entire thing, and you can see a lot of that in this game. By the way, here we picked up, I call it the bone key, and we're gonna run around and do these little puzzles where we will attach a total of 4 rings to it, and they will be increasingly harder, so to speak, or a bit more tricky. But either way, the aesthetics of this game, this was very inspired by Geiger's art. He did a lot of art, a lot of biomechanic stuff, a lot of, I almost said erotic undertones, but that would be the understatement of the millennia probably. Because there was nothing, not so much implications as in your face when it came to the erotic tones in a lot of Geiger's art. And anyone who's seen a lot of his art will know exactly what I mean. Just look at the head of the xenomorph. That is very phallic. But either way, where was I? Yes, the aesthetics overall. One thing you will not see when you're watching this walkthrough, if you're just watching this walkthrough because you find my videos amusing or enjoyable, which is basically the same thing, that is absolutely fine. I'm very happy for every view I get. I really appreciate all the nice comments I've gotten throughout the years. I really appreciate everything, and it's super fun for me as a content creator when I get those comments that people have found my videos helpful. One thing to know about these puzzles, if we go back to the game, because they start moving around, you can only attach it at one of these slots, and you hear an audible click when it comes to that. Listen now. You hear that click? That shows you that that is the spot where you want to keep it. This is just me being thick. If I had stopped to think for a second, I would have thought about this. But the thing is, when I recorded this, I like to listen to stuff, especially in a game like this. When I was recording, I like to listen to either music or podcasts or something, because sure, the music ambiance is great. It really sets the mood and the tone for the game. But when you're going through this to record content, I usually listen to something else, because I have heard the audio of the game quite a few times at that point. But you may have seen that there is a creature skulking around here. That is something I call the parasite, and we are gonna make friends, so to speak, with him quite soon. First, we're gonna detach these 3 cables, so we stop these giant fan blades, and we can continue onwards. And when you go out of this little tunnel, that parasite will ambush us. This is completely scripted. There is nothing you can do about this. And I have a theory about this parasite. Because if you're playing along, you may know that our first protagonist, level 1 doesn't end well for him, and we are probably playing another character right now. I think the parasite is the first character we play as. Because when we started playing Act 2, we didn't have the jackhammer. But the jackhammer is attached to the parasite. So when the parasite attaches to us, we get the jackhammer once again. And it could be another person, another humanoid creature moving around in this world. I don't exclude that possibility. But it makes sense. Somewhat. And the parasite will follow you throughout the game from this point onwards. He will also hurt you at times. Those are scripted events, and you will lose a little bit of help. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. They are just there as a little nuisance. But going back to what I was saying earlier, I was talking about the aesthetics of this game. In my very long-winded, easily distracted, like a slightly brain-dead kitten way, is something that you will not see much of if you just watch along this walkthrough, not playing the game yourself. Is that since this is a walkthrough, I play very focused. I always try to keep the camera movement to an absolute minimum, keep it focused to make it easy for people to see where I go and which directions I choose. But I think this is one of those games you should experience for yourself. You may play it and use my walkthrough or someone else's if you don't enjoy my walkthrough, for example. But I really love the design of this game. There are things worth looking at if you're not squeamish, because then this is not the game for you. Hell no. You saw back in Act 1 there were some quite gruesome parts, and there will be more. Throughout this game, as I said in the first video, I might as well mention it again. Probably should mention it in every video of this walkthrough. That there are very graphic depictions of violence, and I have kept it all in because that was an interesting little dilemma when I started editing this video, because anyone who has watched one of my walkthroughs before knows that I usually cut out all the cutscenes. Anything that isn't gameplay, I try to trim out, because I want to keep the videos as short and to the point as possible, even if my narration isn't always short and to the point. But I try to keep my videos as helpful and succinct as I possibly can. That is the purpose of a walkthrough, like cut out all the fluff. But I think in this game, this would be... I think in this game, to make it a little bit more interesting, I decided to go another route. Because a lot of this game, if I were to use my normal strategy, so to speak, or my normal way of doing things, these videos would just consist of two hands running around pulling levers with zero context for the most part. And it would fit with how the game is, because as I mentioned earlier, I played through this game a bunch of times now. I still have no idea what the hell the game is about, except for running around pulling levers and opening doors and trying to move forward. And by the way, this is the last puzzle, and here, to make it a little bit harder, you can only see half of this turntable, or whatever you want to call it. But since you have that audible click when it moves into the correct position, it is very simple, and the only thing that is off screen is the last one. And you want to move it around to, let's say, if you think of this as a clock, go over to 8 o'clock. And that is where you will be able to lock in the last one, the only one that's hidden from view. But now our bone key is complete. So now we're going to head back to where we saw those plant looking things, where I attached the bone key first. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. And this game is quite fun in the first level, because a lot of these puzzles, or some of these puzzles, or especially the first level, when you come in there into the main room with the whole puzzle where you move the sliders back and forth and pick out the egg and stuff like that, when I came in there the first time, I said in the first video that I spent, I think, an hour beating that level, if that's enough, and in 3 sittings, I think. Because when you come in, you have no idea where you're supposed to go, you have no idea what you're supposed to do, and in what order you should do those things. And that is the interesting part about a game that tells you absolutely nothing. That just handcuffs you behind your back, throws runner weights on your feet, kicks you in the deep end of the pool, and says sink or swim. The choice is yours. And that makes this game quite unique, I think. That it does absolutely no hand-holding. None at all. You have to figure out everything for yourself. But now that we use the bone key, we get 2 new items. This is the key handle. We will use that to open doors throughout this game. And this is the pouch. I think there is probably an official name for this thing. That will hold your healing items, healing juice. Don't know what the correct term for it would be. And it will also hold your ammunition, because we will be getting firearms later on in the game. But as you can see, there was a door with 1 light lit up on the right side of it, and you use the key handle. And throughout this game we will upgrade the key handle at certain points to unlock new doors. And I think very soon we will get attacked by the parasite for the first time. If I remember correctly, I didn't have time to actually look through this video before I started my narration. Yes, right on cue. And as you can see, this will happen a few times throughout the game. And if you look up in the left corner, you see I lose a little bit of health. And this is a first aid station. Here you can put in your little thingamajig and it will fill it up with health. One of these will fill up a maximum of 4 heals on that thing. And it is divided into 2 sides. So if you have 3 of them filled and go to a first aid station, it will only fill 1. Because it's 4 and 4. So if you want to heal up the second half of it, you're gonna have to have 4 heals, so to speak, in it, if you understand what I mean. I hope I'm making sense. I know that my explanations sometimes throughout my videos leave a little bit to be desired. But that's the thing when you don't have a script and you speak in your second language. But what I'm trying to say is you can have a maximum of 8 heals in that thing. Every heal will heal up 2 sections of your health bar. You saw there were little lines in it, as the parasite damaged me for 1 section. So it will heal up 2 of those. But you will see that later on in this walkthrough. But that is the end of Act 2, and I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.